morning, friends. Welcome to Freedom Makers. I'm Amanda, and today we are going to make an applesauce cake. So I kind of skipped a day. Yesterday I did record us making the last of the pie filling and some more applesauce. So we didn't get fancy. We were going to make like some spiced apples and things, but we just ran out of time, and it was just quicker just to do what we had already been doing. So, for 2 days we did pie filling and sauce. And so now we have 14 quarts of pie filling. I'm going to bring you guys back and just really quickly show you some of the clips. We used a different tool. My mom stayed and helped, saved the day. It was so much faster. Many hands make light the work, and so it was great to have her in the kitchen with us. So we tried our apple peeler again today. We took the spiralizing blade here off, and this is what cores it. We took that off, and we are still having problems because of the spring in this thing. It's just not adjusted right, and so this doesn't move appropriately, and we're still having to peel the apples after we peel the apples. So we're doing this by hand today. So we're using this antique chopper core today, and I've got my mom here helping me. She's doing this while I'm working on peeling these. We're just peeling them in a circle so that she can use this thing, and it's actually cutting our time down quite a bit because it is also slicing, and we're having these thicker slices, which we like for apple pie. And then in our sink we also have the lemon water again today. That's really helpful, but look at these big beautiful slices. I really like the size of these, and it's just a little more efficient. It's faster, and these are going to make some great apple pie. Well, these are the ones that we did yesterday. This is the last one that's going in. I'm going to start my timer for 25 minutes as soon as it comes to a rolling boil. These are the apples that I had left from that batch. I also have a few more in the sink. I'm going to dump those in here and make more sauce. So a few days ago I was tagged by Wanda at Deep South Homestead. If you don't know who Wanda is, she is one of my dearest friends, and she is over at Deep South Homestead and on Crazy Days. She tagged me in a holiday dessert collaboration that Two Family Homestead has decided to start. So they have a playlist. I'm going to list all this information in the description box below so you guys can see other people's recipes and what they're making for the holiday season. One of our favorite holiday desserts is applesauce cake. So we are going to take the applesauce that you guys saw us make, and we are going to use that in a cake recipe. This cake recipe is one of our favorites for this season because it tastes like autumn. It has a lot of spices in it. It has pecans in it, raisins in it. It's really, really yummy. You can eat it for breakfast, for snacks. We are going to be using it as a breakfast cake because we're going to have too much to do in the next couple of days in the kitchen already, and we're not making breakfast. We're going to have applesauce cake, and it is going to be divine. I got this recipe last year in my new cookbook. If you hung around last year and saw some of my cooking with me videos, I used this cookbook like crazy last year, and I love it. We found the applesauce cake recipe right here on page 227 from the Dining on a Dime cookbook. So I love this recipe. It's really easy to modify to make it gluten-free. Instead of the flour in here, the 2.5 cups, I use almond flour, and it works out great. Instead of the 1.5 cups of white sugar that is in this recipe, I'm going to be using some cane sugar. This is just from the health food store. I really, really like it. It tastes a lot like brown sugar, so it's perfect in a recipe like this. I also wait until I can get it on discount. I only paid $2.87 for this bag. I've also found that I don't have as much inflammation issues when I use this as I do when I use like just white sugar. White sugar is much more processed, and my body just doesn't identify it as food, so I don't use it. Everything else in this recipe is going to be as is. I'm going to take a snapshot and show you guys that up close so you can write this down or freeze it if you would like to make this along with me. Here we have 1.5 cups of the Sucanat cane sugar. I'm going to put in 1/2 cup of coconut oil. This is just at room temp, and this is going to cream just like your butter and like regular sugar would. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but yes, this is another substitution. I am going to use the coconut instead of butter or shortening because I really like the flavor of the coconut that it gives the finished product, and it's really yummy. So honey, I need you to, look, you're going to smush it into the sugar like this. Can you smush it down into the sugar?
Yes, I can. If
Good
you
job.
want me to.
Okay. So now we have this cream together. It kind of resembles wet sand. So if that's how yours looks, you're doing good. If you have just regular sugar and like just butter or lard or something, it's going to be more fluffy than this. This is a lot like wet sand. And that's okay. You can cut this with white sugar if you feel like that's necessary, or if your family's not used to this. In this bowl, I have beaten 2 of our farm fresh eggs. Our girls are still doing really great even though it's very cold out. And I've mixed in some cinnamon, clove, and salt into this mixture. And we are going to dump this in here and let Sunshine just go crazy. Can you mix that up for me?
Oh, yeah.
While I get our flour out. Looks great. You're doing a good job, honey. So in this we have 2.5 cups of flour. So this is a mixture of almond flour and Bob's Red Mill. So Bob's is on the bottom. I just had a little bit in a package that I wanted to finish using up. So I'm going to mix this together. You can use whatever kind of flour you want. I'm just going to mix this in so that it's even throughout. This is what our final applesauce mixture looked like. This is kind of a mixture between, or a combo between an applesauce and a pie filling, because we did incorporate the last of the pie filling into this, just to add that cinnamony flavor that we really enjoy in applesauce. So this is a 1.5 cups, and we're going to mix that in alternately with our flour into our egg mixture. Okay guys, you may remember earlier in the summer I found a really great deal on raisins and I vacuum sealed a lot of those. We're going to use some of those today in this recipe. I can list a link above if you want to see us do that. This is about 1 cup of raisins. I really like to plump mine up before I put them in a recipe like this. So I have hot water from my kettle here. Honey, keep your face back. And I'm going to let these just simmer in some hot water. This is just hot water. It wasn't quite boiling yet. And I'm going to set that aside while we do the rest of our cake recipe. So this is about 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and I'm going to put just a little bit of hot water. Just a minute, baby. Just a little bit of hot water. It calls for 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to swirl this around together. Put that back on the stove. You just want to dissolve the baking soda in the water, and then we're going to add it to our cake batter. So do you want to dump this into the hot water?
Oh, yes.
Okay, go ahead. Dump it into the batter. Good job. And then we're going to mix it in here. I don't think I quite dissolved it as well as I probably should have, but that's okay. The baking soda does change the texture of the cake a little bit. It just seems a little more airy now. So in just a moment we are going to add the raisins, but until then we're going to add about 1 cup of pecans. I'm just going to eyeball this, guys. That's a liberal cup. But we really love our pecans. So these raisins are not quite as plump as I would normally let them get, but we're kind of in a hurry today. We have a million things to do, and so this is just going to have to do. But normally I would let them plump up a little more. It just makes them a little more plump and soft in the final cake. So we're just going to fold this in, and then I'm going to dump this into a well-greased, it says a loaf pan, but I used my cake pan, like for a sheet cake. And it works out perfectly. Okay, so this is my cake pan. We have a clump of coconut oil here. Can you help me spread that around? That'll be fun. I like to use coconut oil because of the taste. It just tastes really good in a cake recipe. So I'm just going to rub this all over my pan here. Make sure you get the sides good, honey. Let's turn it around so I can get this side good on the corners. And then the cake is going to just come right out. It's probably a little much on the oil, but that's okay. Is that fun? Okay, rub the rest into your hand. Rub the rest into your hand. It's like lotion. Okay, you hold your hands like this. We'll go wash them in a minute. I'm going to dump the cake batter into our pan. This is going to cook at 350 for about an hour. While my cake's in the oven, of course I'm cleaning my kitchen, but I have also emptied that big giant pot into this gallon-sized freezer bag. I have this laying flat on a cookie sheet, so I'm just going to pop this in the freezer so that it lays flat. This is going to make it easier for me to store in my freezer. I can stand this upright later, and we can pull this out whenever we want to make another cake and have applesauce for a few mornings. For breakfast or with breakfast or as a side or whatever. So this is a great way to store the extra. It's not enough to can, so I'm not going to worry with that. Okay, y'all, I've got my applesauce cake out of the oven. I am going to cut myself a slice. Isn't it pretty, y'all? It's beautiful. I love this rich golden brown. It's beautiful. It's, I don't know, it's dense, it's mushy, it's like everything at the same time. So here's a close-up of this piece. Focus. There we go. Here's a close-up. It's dense, but it's also really, really moist. I love the raisins and pecans throughout. I'm going to plate this up and take a bite. Alright, y'all, that coconut oil created a beautiful outside edge. I love that. And then the inside is just moist. You can hear it. I love it. It is going to be scrumptious. So I'm going to get a bite with some pecan and some raisin. So this cake is amazing. There is a reason this is one of our favorite cakes. It's definitely great for the holiday season. If you don't want it this moist, you can put a little less applesauce. I think I put extra applesauce, so mine is extra moist, but we really like it that way. This is also perfect for breakfast because it's got the protein, it's got some sweet in it, the raisins, the pecans. It's a lovely combo. So I want to encourage you guys to check out the Two Family Homestead playlist. I'm going to list a link below again so you guys can check that out. There are all kinds of channels that have participated in this and have been listed in that playlist, so you can see all kinds of different desserts from other homesteaders. And then also, check out this recipe in the Dining on a Dime cookbook. I love this recipe book. It is what I'm giving my grandmothers for Christmas. They've both requested this, actually, after looking through it, and love it. So, I mean, people of all ages are going to find something useful in here. It's not just recipes for food, but also things for kids and beauty tips and cleaning recipes and all kinds of stuff. It's just a goldmine of information. So I love it. It's probably my favorite cookbook just because it's so versatile, and I highly recommend you check it out. I have a link in the comment section or in the description box below so you guys can check that out if you want to as well. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye guys.